Let's go overseas. Omicron is changing holiday plans around the world. It's also putting a stop to the progress some countries were making in the fight against coronavirus. In a lot of places, Christmas 2021 is expected to look a lot like Christmas 2020. In Europe, we're now seeing some countries go back into lockdowns, and with that, protests have erupted again over new restrictions. NBC News foreign correspondent Kelly Cobiella is following the latest for us overseas. So, Kelly, let's start where you are in the UK. Officials reporting a surge in Omicron cases there. What kind of restrictions are in place now, and could more be coming?
Joe, good morning to you. Yeah, just in the past week or so, we experienced some new restrictions back in place after weeks, actually months of essentially life as almost normal here. So now the mask mandates are back in place. You have to wear a mask on public transport, in shops, any public spaces where there are big crowds. In addition to that, people are being asked to work from home and sort of limit their social interactions, just to sort of think twice about getting into big groups and holding big parties and that sort of thing. And there's also a lot of talk about more restrictions coming, about possible lockdowns. Now, the government hasn't said that that's happening, but they also haven't ruled it out. The health secretary talking about that just this morning. Here's what he had to say about these new rules coming into place.
Well, I didn't come into government to restrict freedoms of people, but I think people understand why we are presented that action to Parliament. But can I say we are entering this phase of this pandemic in a very strong position.
A very strong position because there are very high rates of vaccination in this country. Over 80% of adults double vaccinated, and that booster program was really ramped up. So more than 50% of adults over 18 are now boosted as well. But take a look at this graph. It shows what's happening with daily COVID cases, and it's a pretty stark example of just how quickly this is spreading. So for the past several weeks, I would say even months, we've been seeing an average of about 30 to 40,000 daily COVID cases in this country. Just in the past week, Joe, that number has jumped. It's now double that. We're looking at 80 to 90,000 daily cases. And some estimates say that this virus, this variant, Omicron variant, doubles every 1.5 to 3 days. So those numbers can shoot up really quickly.
Yeah,
Joe.
That is a rapid increase. I want to ask you about one country in particular, the Netherlands, now the first European country to go into a nationwide lockdown. What are cases like there? What does it mean for people who are celebrating the holidays there?
Yeah, so cases in the Netherlands have been rising, but health officials there say that the Omicron variant is not yet the dominant variant in that country. But the prime minister said essentially they had to go into lockdown now to prevent an unmanageable situation in the hospitals. They're very concerned, again, about the rate of spread there. So this is what the lockdown looks like. It just went into effect yesterday. Today's the first full weekday of a lockdown there. Shops, restaurants, gyms, hair salons, movie theaters, all closed. No fans in the stadiums for any sporting events. And this will all be in place until January 14th. And one more restriction in place there. People are limited as to how many visitors they can have in their private homes. Only up to 4 people visiting on Christmas and New Year's, the holidays. Any other day, it has to be 2. Joe.
Wow, you got to pick who you want at your place for Christmas. Real quickly, Kelly, on this one, we are seeing more protests because of more restrictions. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, protests breaking out in several cities across Europe, London, Paris, Barcelona, a couple of cities in Germany, and in Brussels as well. Most of these protests were largely peaceful. There were some scuffles with police and some arrests in Belgium, as well as in London over the weekend. People really angry about new restrictions, about vaccine mandates in particular, and also vaccine passports.
All right, Kelly Cobiella with a look at what's happening overseas in Europe. Thanks so much.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.